Good evening, everybody. My name is Jim Scanlon. I'm the superintendent in the Westchester Area School District. Thank you so much for logging in this evening to our virtual open house for the Westchester Cyber Program for the high school version. This is being recorded, so if you know of anybody that was unable to log in tonight at this time, this session will be recorded, and this slideshow will be available on our website as well. If you have questions during the presentation, you can scan the QR code on the screen. That will periodically show up throughout the presentation. There's also a link that you can click on that shows up on the screen and in the chat. If you click on the link, you could submit questions. Please submit questions, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. Again, the cyber program for us has something that was in the works about 2 years ago when our school board was looking at our comprehensive plan. And it's an area that we wanted to do more of. We wanted to get into the cyber world, and we wanted it to be more of a flexible blended program for students. We were planning this fall in our comprehensive plan to open up a complete cyber option for students in grades 6 and 9. That was our original plan, and then phase it in over the next 2 years. COVID-19, as with many things in all of our lives, has changed and accelerated that program. So we are opening it up full time for grades 6 through 12, and also temporarily we are opening up for a K-5 program. It was always part of our 6 to 12 comprehensive plan. It's something that we have been working on since last summer in terms of writing the digital curriculum. And we're happy to share some of the specifics with you here tonight. Also, I know that there may be many people who are just looking at this program because of all of the unknowns with how we're going to start the school year. As many of you know, we are working on some various different options for how this school year may or may not begin. In fact, I just got information about 30 minutes ago that there are some new guidelines coming out from the State Department of Health by the end of the week for school districts, so that may in fact change some of the plans that we're making in terms of how we're going to open school. But for whatever reason, maybe you have some. You're always looking at a cyber program to have some flexibility in your son or daughter's schedule, or maybe you're just concerned about all the unknowns for the fall and you want to just kind of lock into a program that will get some flexibility. You'll be able to finish it and go through. We will talk about the difference between our cyber program and what we all experienced last spring, which was emergency remote learning or just remote learning. There is a difference. The cyber program schedule, and we'll show you one of those schedules, a sample schedule here tonight, is very different. It's more flexible. It is more asynchronous, where our teachers will do some synchronous or some live sessions, but there's a lot of sessions that are pre-recorded with the discussion boards, and kids can work on their own pace with teacher feedback coming electronically and online. And when they need to do live sessions, they will do that for some of the follow-up. And we have some teachers will talk to you tonight about some of those different courses. Thanks so much for your patience as we work through the safest possible way to open schools. A cyber option is part of our plan. And it is a very safe way to take a look at delivering instruction to your children at home and with some more flexibility. So with that, I'd like to start by just sharing with you some of the reasons why I would say it's important to choose the Westchester Cyber Program. We know there are many cyber options in the state of Pennsylvania. I think there are 18 different cyber charter schools that parents can choose from. We have award-winning programs in Westchester. Our programs are being taught by our teachers. They are using our curriculum. And again, as I said, we started working on the secondary program last summer and continue to work through this summer in preparation for the start of this school year. So these are just some of the recognitions that we have in terms of music, best high schools by U.S. News, Newsweek. So there's many of them on the website. I don't need to tell you, for those of you that have kids in our school system, you know that we get many accolades in Westchester for making a difference for students. If you look at some of the state test data that's out there, just share some of these quick slides with you. We are in the blue on this bar. This is our Keystone exams for algebra. These are all high school students take these exams. Westchester scores significantly high, not only compared to other cyber schools. The gray bars are all the different cyber schools and how they perform on their Keystone exams. And the blue is Westchester. Now, some might say, okay, well, yeah, Westchester, that you're just comparing your brick and mortar students. It's not really cyber, and it's much harder to learn and teach in cyber. And that may be true. And we will have some data this year, assuming the state gives these tests. But I will tell you that if you're going from a cyber school, and eventually, particularly for people who are thinking about this just as a short-term option, we do know that there will, in fact, be a vaccine for COVID-19. And when that vaccine arrives, people are going to want to come back to the brick and mortar programs. It is much easier to transfer from our cyber program because you're using our curriculum, our teachers, and everything on the transcript comes back very smoothly. What we find when we get students coming back from other charter, private, or parochial schools is we have to do a transcript review, and sometimes it's much harder to figure out and decide what courses were taken that are going to count toward our graduation requirements. But it's very seamless by choosing our program, and it's very easy to do that just coming back in and out of the program. Now, we do ask, some people want to know, well, can I go into the cyber program and then kind of transfer back? We will allow that. We'll be flexible. We do ask to do that at certain transition points in the program. For example, end of a marking period. It's much easier, again, for teachers to kind of start up and pick off where the cyber teacher left off, or at some transition points in the year, such as winter break or Thanksgiving break, those kinds of things. So we will be flexible with parents on that. And again, we do know that some parents are considering this, perhaps just for this year until there's a vaccine. So we do understand that. A couple other slides, I won't go through them. You'll see the same kind of results on biology Keystone exams. Westchester's in the blue. Some of the other cyber charter schools are in gray. And you'll see the same thing with the literature slide. Again, we're in the blue, and the other cyber charter schools are in the gray. So the other piece that when we originally designed this program was pre-COVID. And in pre-COVID design, we want to make sure that everybody that's in our cyber charter program knows that they have access to our award-winning after-school programs. You get a Westchester diploma. So if you're in the attendance boundary for Henderson, you get a Henderson diploma. East is East diploma. So it's very seamless coming back and forth. And Ruston is a Ruston diploma. If you want to play in the band, you have access to the band. You can come in for the after-school activities. Any of the clubs that are running, you can come in for those. Any of the art clubs and art exhibits that take place, you can be part of all of that. It is all very seamless, which gives people the socialization pieces that some of the parents and some of the kids are looking for, even though they might be operating in a cyber program. So moving on. Again, will you be able to transition back? Yes. Again, just to reiterate that we will allow that, but we do want to do that at those transition points during the school year, so that it's a much easier transition during a marking period, end of a marking period, or possibly during one of the larger breaks. So with that, I'm going to now turn it over to Dr. Kristen Barnello, who is our cyber administrator. And she'll walk you through some of the aspects of the program. Kristen?
Thanks, Dr. Scanlon. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I do want to go over a few features of tonight's meeting. So as noted before, we do have our questions are being accepted through the link that is being posted again in the chat thread now. You can also scan the QR code. As you can imagine, with several hundred participants, it is too hard to manage all the different chat questions. We want to make sure that we do answer your questions. We will go through this program. Tonight we modified our program because we know that many of you are looking at cyber solely as a short-term solution. So we want to make sure that we're answering the questions that have been asked to us over the past few weeks, while also providing with you enough information about our Westchester cyber program so that you'll be able to make an informed and meaningful decision. So joining me tonight are our instructional technology coordinators. They'll be handling our technology and they'll be managing the questions as they come to us. We also have several of our Westchester School District teachers who have been board approved to be part of our cyber program. So they'll be speaking to you later on this evening as well. Before we even delve too far into our cyber program, I do want to address the burning question that is on everyone's mind. And that is, how is Westchester Cyber different than what we experienced this past spring? This past spring, we were in a global crisis. Us and the rest of the world were trying to figure out how to deal with this health threat that we were facing. Because of that, we were forced to close our buildings very quickly without much notice. We had to shift about 12,000 students and over 800 teachers online in about 72 hours. We made the conscious decision at that time to provide basic minimal instruction to our students and our families while we all learned how to grapple with our new reality. What you experienced in the spring is not at all reflective of what you would see in the Westchester Cyber Program. Our Westchester Cyber Program is very robust. As Dr. Scanlon said, we've been building this infrastructure for years. 6 years ago, we launched our one-to-one program with all of our secondary students. We also committed to Schoology as our learning management system. We've been building the skill set of all of our teachers to integrate technology more effectively in their classroom. But what you will see in our Westchester Cyber Program are teachers that are specifically trained and have had extensive professional development on how to deliver content and assess their students in a fully online learning environment. If we do need to close again this coming year, what you will see, if in another closure, is that our students will engage with all of our teachers. They will remain in the same sections they were in their brick and mortar classrooms with their same teachers, but you will see changes from this past spring. You will see more live instruction from our teachers. Our teachers will teach all of the curriculum. Students will be expected to attend class, and students will receive grades. Students who are in our cyber program, however, will continue with their learning uninterrupted because the closure, if we do have to have a closure of our buildings, won't have any impact on our cyber program. The students in our cyber program will remain separated from our students in our brick and mortar online emergency sections. So now I want to introduce you to our Westchester Cyber Program. We know that learning online is different, and we want to stress to you that learning online is different, does not mean that students are learning in isolation. We have developed an area in our district, the Cyber Center, which is located at Fugate Middle School. This is an exciting area, and we are hoping that we're going to be able to open it up for our community and for our cyber students. The picture you see is an architectural rendering. However, it is reflective of the space as we have designed it with our vendors. This is an area where students can come together. They can work collaboratively on group projects. They can prep for debates in social studies class, or they can just have a space to work quietly themselves. But we have that social area for our students to work together, and along with our cyber coach, who will be a fully staffed, fully certified educator with no instructional responsibilities. So their role will simply be there to support our students at all time, every day of the week. If you were to sign up for the cyber program, your students would be part of our student cyber orientation. Part of this orientation will deal with technology, getting to know our learning management system of Schoology. Students who have been enrolled in our schools before are very familiar with this. All of our students in grades 3 through 12 use Schoology as our learning management system. In addition, students will also be provided with skills such as time management, which are absolutely critical in a cyber setting. We are also focused on building that sense of community for our cyber students. Your students will remain enrolled in their school. So if your student attends Henderson, Ruston, or East, they will remain enrolled there. We encourage them to be active members of their school community, but at the same time, we know that we need to build that cyber community. You'll see that we have scheduled a kickoff picnic. This is planned to be a family fun event where we'll be able to meet with our parents, the students will be able to connect with each other, and everyone will build that sense of community before the school year even begins. As you can imagine, that date is tentative, as we will continue to follow state and local mandate and safety guidelines for all social distancing. Some of the questions that I've received are from parents to make sure that they are equipped to help their students be successful in a cyber environment. As such, we will be able to provide a parent orientation night in August, solely for our cyber parents. At that point, we'll make sure that you're able to log in, view all of your students' courses in Schoology. We will show you how to interact with both the course content and with the teachers so that you're able to connect with them seamlessly. We also will provide ongoing support through a website, and that website will have a variety of video tutorials for all of the parents to view and access on demand. At this point, we will be posting one link to a sample video in our chat thread. That is a sample video that would show you as a parent how to log on to Schoology and how to access your students' content. We would invite you to bookmark that link so that you can view it at another time as a sample of what we'd be able to provide to you. Another question that has come up frequently is about the child's counselor. Your children have been working so hard since kindergarten to prepare for those steps after high school. Depending on where they are on their high school journey, they're getting ready for college applications, they're getting ready for graduation, or they might just be entering the high school for the first time. That 4-year relationship that is built between our students and their counselors is so critical to their success that we wanted to ensure to you that your counselor would remain unchanged if you were to join our Westchester Cyber program. At this time, I'd like to kind of dive in a little bit more into our high school curriculum. Again, I want to remind you that we are collecting questions that will be addressed at the end of our presentation. So if you have a question, please use the QR code or the link provided to submit a question. As you will see from our high school offerings, we offer a wide array of courses. While we don't offer every single course in person, all of our core classes are offered, including AP offerings, as well as an array of elective offerings. We have an array of math and science courses as well to ensure that our students are able to reach all of their graduation requirements. At this time, I'm going to invite Kelsey Moreau, one of our cyber math teachers, to speak to you all about our math offerings, as well as the different levels of our courses.
Hi, everyone. Well, thank you for attending tonight. So like Dr. Barnello said, I'm Kelsey Moreau. I'm super excited to be teaching our geometry course. It is one of my favorite math courses to teach, so I'm very lucky to have this opportunity. So just as in our traditional brick and mortar classes, students are able to either earn honors or accelerated honors credit. With my class, I am very flexible, and we are also, all of our teachers are very equipped to be able to meet the needs of our different learners. So students might be working in different small groups just based on their ability. Some of the tasks that they will be assigned, some of the projects, some of the investigations that I have going on in geometry will differ from course to course or from level to level, just so that they are meeting the needs of the credit that they would like, either that honors or the accelerated. So all of the teachers here are very excited to be able to offer that differentiated need, and your kids are going to be in great hands, and we're so excited to have everybody attending.
Thanks, Kelsey. One of the other questions we get a lot about our high school program is regarding science labs. And we were hoping that Anthony Prinzo, who is one of our cyber science teachers, who's actually going to be teaching our bio classes in our cyber setting this fall, was going to be able to be here. Unfortunately, he's not able to join us. But I want you to know that we will be able to provide a very robust and enriching experience for our science students in their science labs. We have a variety of programs that we're using that you can see listed there. Our science cyber teachers, in collaboration with Dr. Paul Joyce, our supervisor of science, have been working very hard to identify the best programs for our students. So you'll see the 3 programs that we are using there. But please rest assured that your students will get that robust lab experience in our cyber setting. In addition to our 4 core areas, we also offer classes in health and PE and world language, again ensuring that our students are able to meet all of their graduation requirements. A question that has come up frequently is for the students that are interested in continuing their study of a language other than Spanish. When we first started the cyber program about 1.5 years ago, we determined that Spanish was going to be our first language that we would use in the cyber program based upon our student enrollments. As you can see, the number of students who are enrolled in Spanish at the high school level far outnumber the students in the other languages. That said, our world has changed. We know that there are students who are interested in continuing to study their language at the high school level, but want to do so online. We are at this point exploring different partnerships to be able to deliver the French, Latin, and German online in a variety of ways. We will be able to communicate a firm plan to you by the end of this month, but at this time I am confident that we will be able to meet that need as well. I would now like to introduce Ms. Alicia Ritz, who is one of our video production teachers, to share with you a little bit of information about our elective programs.
Thank you, Dr. Barnello. Hi, everyone. It's nice to virtually meet you. Thanks so much for logging on to the open house. So I will be teaching Video 1, Cyber to Half semester course. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about the video electives that we are able to provide in cyber that mirror our brick and mortar programs, so that any student, even if you are online, you have the same capabilities to learn and grow in any interest of filmmaking that you have, just like our brick and mortar students. So some of the things in Video 1 that we do, we take a big picture look at what it means to be a filmmaker and how to do that, the basics, and then we work our way up to documentaries, making your own narratives, and then grow to honors classes in Video 2 and 3, for example. Those are honors 4-year classes where we just dive even deeper to a really creative way to artistically tell a story through a lens. And we also have an honors broadcast journalism course as well. That's a full year. So any questions for these, we would love to answer them, but we are really excited about these, and just as a peace of mind to know that your students, if they choose this cyber elective, that it is really mirrored to the brick and mortar, so they wouldn't miss a beat. So thank you, and I'm going to pass it to Ms. Sandy Dooley for graphic design.
Thanks, Alicia. Everyone, thank you so much for coming tonight. It's a beautiful day, and you're all here, and I think it's a testament to our program, how strong it is. So I'd like to welcome you all. I teach graphic design, and if you've never heard of that before, it's basically like a studio art class, but you're designing things for products and for consumers. And so we make a lot of things that you probably would see in everyday life, t-shirts, package designs, any kind of labeling that you see. That's all done in a graphic design world. But it is part of a whole genre of art that we offer in the Westchester Area School District. We're very fortunate now that the program has expanded that we're going to be also offering Photo 1 and AP Art History, but it will also grow into further classes in the future. So not only is there Graphic Design 1 and Photo 1, but there's a second and third level. And what we like to do is have everybody eventually go to our AP Studio Art class so we can see how that works together as one for our critical thinking and problem solving skills with create, perform, and respond. But I'm really excited to see everything that we've been doing. I'm really proud of my students because they designed a collaborative setting, our logo with Dr. Barnello and her crew, so that was wonderful. I've also had some questions about people wanting to be involved in the school setting, and they've also said that. So we have our National Art Honor Society, and we also have the Senior Art Show that you will definitely be involved in, and I am really blessed to have some amazing students that are in charge of our National Art Honor Society, and they've already been designing online activities to be doing with the cyber program, as well as if we are home again in the fall. So I'm really excited to see everything that we're going to do. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Dr. Barnello, I'm going to give it back to you.
Thanks so much. So one thing that has definitely come up quite frequently, especially in our elective areas, is whether or not we can take some of the classes online and others in person. The answer to that is absolutely yes. So several weeks ago, you received a communication from Dr. Sokolowski that invited you as families of high school students to complete a form that would identify which courses you wanted to take online. We know that socialization and being in our buildings, there's just such positive energy there. We want our students in the classroom, but we know that it's not always possible, or that you might want to limit that exposure as well. So you will be able to take some classes online and others in person. I now want to introduce you to our whole faculty for the Westchester Cyber Program. And again, just as a reminder, we are collecting questions that we will address at the end of the program. Please either scan the QR code or use the link. So as you'll see, we have a very large group of Westchester High School cyber faculty. I want to speak a little bit about this group, even though they're not all able to be with us tonight. The process to become a member of our cyber faculty is very competitive. For example, when we have an application for a regular social studies teacher in our brick and mortar, we have over 100 applicants for that position on average. When that person is hired, they are literally one of 100 to be granted that position. For our cyber high school faculty, we're then taking all of those Westchester Area School District teachers who have already gone through that gauntlet of the above and beyond the average teacher to be exceptional, and they have then applied and been hired to this staff. After they're hired, they are provided in-depth and extensive training specific for a fully online cyber learning environment. As you can imagine, this can look very different and does look different in the different classes. In a socialized or English class, there's a lot of, writing and reading and interaction and debate and discussion. Whereas in, a production class such as graphic design, the students might be working and the teachers are providing that one-on-one feedback for that final product and whatever the students are working towards. So it does vary by each area, but our teachers are all very trained. They are content experts, and I can guarantee you that you will be very happy to have your students, your children, work with our faculty. At this point, we are going to address some of the most frequent questions that come to us in the past few weeks. So for example, we are going to address the question that's been on everyone's mind of how much live versus how much self-paced instruction. In an attempt to try and answer that, we did provide a sample high school schedule for our community to review. The link for this schedule will be populated in the chat thread for you. But if you look, for example, on this, you'll see that we have allocated about 30 to 50 minutes for the student in this schedule to work on their ELA task. Their ELA task right now for the sample is that they would be working on their rough draft of their summer reading essay. That might look like an asynchronous activity when you're looking at this sample schedule. In reality, Mr. Pierce, who is one of our cyber English teachers, might be working with a small group of students, finalizing how they're writing their thesis, reviewing the key components of an effective argument, all different topics that are necessary as you develop a strong essay. He might be working with students one-on-one to provide targeted feedback on their essay. Or the student could truly be asynchronous at that time, working on their rough draft to provide to a peer for peer editing or to provide to their teacher for feedback. So while that does say 30 to 50 minutes, and it may look completely asynchronous at first glance, the reality is that likely during that time, the student is going to interact with a peer to get feedback from their peer or with their English teacher to gather some coaching and feedback as well. The next question we get a lot from high school students is that they want to know if they can participate in TCHS. And while my daughter does not go to a Westchester Area School District, she is still in the TCHS program, so I am answering this question at home as well. We know how important those programs are to some of our students, that's really where they're finding their passion. So the answer is absolutely yes. If students want to do some of their classes through Westchester Cyber and still participate in their programs at TCHS, they can. They would just come to their home building to take the bus, and then the bus would take them to the TCHS campus. I will share with you, as you can probably anticipate, the Chester County IU, along with all of the districts in Chester County, are working together to create the safest reopening plan that we can for our students. Another question is about the number of students in a class. Even though we're in a virtual setting, we are not going to overpack our classes. So we are going to follow the class size guidelines that we already have in place. So if we have 40 students that sign up for AP Bio this year, we will have 2 sections of AP Bio. We are not going to put 40 students into one class section just because they're not taking up any physical space. So I wanted to be very clear that just because the students are in a cyber setting, the class sizes would remain at that very nice point that we would see in all of our Westchester Area School District classrooms. I wanted to take a moment to thank you. I hope we were able to provide more information to you this evening about our program. If you are interested in enrolling in the Westchester Cyber Program for the high school, remember there are 2 different options. If you want your child to be a full-time cyber student, you would just email me directly and I would work with your building administration to begin that registration process. If you are interested in the hybrid program, again, that's partial classes online, partial classes in person at your building, you would follow that form that Dr. Sokolowski sent out last week in order to identify which course you wanted to take online. At this time, I am going to turn the program over to Dr. Sokolowski and Dr. Clifton, as they've been monitoring the questions that have been coming in through the chat thread, and they're going to address the most frequently asked questions.
Hey, thank you very much. Go ahead, Bob.
I have sunlight coming at me here. Good evening, everybody. My name is Bob Sokolowski. I'm the Assistant Superintendent. And before Dr. Clifton and I go through a number of the questions that have been asked, I just want to share with everyone that I know how extremely difficult this time is. And as we look at making plans for our sons and daughters as they're entering their freshman year or could be entering their senior year, we would like to have answers. We would like to have direction. And the cyber program, I think what it most offers for family is just a great sense of security to know that the Westchester Area School District, where your children have perhaps been in school since kindergarten, that they will be able to continue their learning in our cyber program in all their core courses, and as we shared, a host of elective classes that will be offered for them. And some may ask, well, Dr. Sokolowski, how do we make this decision now when we don't know exactly how the schools will be returning for a physical entrance to school in late August? And that is something I just want to share with everyone, that we set sort of a soft deadline of yesterday for families to sign up for particular courses or for a complete program. But that really is a timeline that goes into early August. And Dr. Scanlon, when he closes our meeting tonight, he'll talk a little bit more about that. But we just wanted to be very transparent with the choice that we have with our cyber program. This was something that was a long time in the making in the Westchester Area School District. We began working with Schoology and having blended courses that would meet, for certain days of the week live and certain days online since 2015. And next school year, we have about 4,000 students that will be enrolled in a blended class of some nature next year. And that's, really pre-COVID. So we're well positioned as a school district to offer a very high quality cyber learning experience for your children. And I think that it provides for high school students really that stability. One of the things that I know from being a high school principal, I used to be the principal at Henderson, that a transcript evaluation sometimes from schools that are outside the Westchester Area School District, sometimes they can be challenging. And sometimes it can be upsetting, it can be disappointing to families that a certain school had this graduation requirement, but moving to Westchester, there are these requirements that we have to follow. So we're doing our very best to be flexible, but we also want to provide something that is comforting and is secure as we head into next fall and whatever may lie ahead for us. So I just want to share with everyone that we're very well prepared to offer this program. We have just a talented group of teachers that are leading it and that have been involved really since as early as last summer. And we're in a good spot, and I hope everyone's doing well. Dr. Clifton, do you want to start asking a couple of the questions that came up in the Google form?
Why, certainly. One of the questions is, what happens on like breaks and 2-hour delays and things like that in the physical school? How does that affect our cyber students?
Okay, so the cyber program is we're trying to offer a high degree of flexibility for students. So there There's mostly asynchronous learning. There are plenty of synchronous opportunities for students to be able to engage with their teachers and with their classmates. But if we were to have a 2-hour delay, that really would not really impact the cyber program. The only thing that I could think of that would is that when we have a professional development day where our teachers are going to be engaged in learning, they may not be as available on those days to be able to get back to students with questions that they may have. But as I said, overall, our high school cyber program in particular is just offering a great amount of flexibility for students.
Will there be an opportunity, assuming that a school is open, to join in-person courses, perhaps like art classes or other science classes?
Right. The greatest feature about our cyber program, and this was part of the original design for high school students, was to offer greater flexibility for scheduling. We've tried in the past several years to do a better job of preparing students for careers. So the opportunity for internships, we've seen a great number of students become involved in the allied health program. The cyber program, because of the learning can be asynchronous, provides a high degree of flexibility for students to be able to come in, maybe take a few courses live and a few courses online. And I think we all know that there are certain courses that translate pretty well to online learning, perhaps computer science. But then there are courses such as instrumental music, which may not lend themselves as much to online learning. And so those students who would be part of our performing ensembles, which is a great strength of the Westchester Area School District, would be encouraged to come into school to be a part of that program.
Thank you, Dr. Sokolowski. On that line, will the cyber program run a regular schedule of school hours from 7:30 to 2:15?
We will have a schedule as Dr. Barnello shared there for students, and it will also indicate their teachers' availability for when they would be able to get back to them or have synchronous sessions with whole class or with small groups of students. So that schedule is part of if the resources that parents can take a look at, but it's mostly what we would say is a suggested schedule. Because we know that for high school students, yes, we want there to be flexibility, but there's also the importance to establish routines.
What about phys ed for 12th grade? It's not offered as a cyber course. What would we offer for them?
Right. We're offering our personal fitness class, which is a course that rotates between the junior and senior year with group fitness. And what we see there with the online physical education, students will be required to maintain logs. And that is the course, and it's not identical to Advanced PE 1, but it does have a number of similarities that translate well to online physical education learning.
Here is a question about the Cyber Center. Could you speak about how that would work with social distancing protocols if they're still in effect when we go back?
Right. So if we are able to, and I am really being optimistic, if we are able to come back physically at the start of the school year with having all of our students in, the Cyber Center would be up and running, and it would be staffed by our cyber coach. And so students, what we would do is just simply so that the teacher knows why you would be coming in, what resources you would be needing. That would be something that would be as simple as a Google form for students to fill out to indicate that the times that they're coming in. So if it is the case that we have to maintain social distancing of 3 to 6 feet, whatever those guidelines are going to be come August, that we would be able to maintain that in our Cyber Center. And that Cyber Center, as I think we mentioned earlier, it will be located at Fugate Middle School.
Okay. Here's a question about IEP and accommodations and how we would work with those within our cyber school?
Yes. So one thing I can share with everybody is next Monday night, 6 p.m., we will have an orientation such as this that will be focused in on pupil services. So talking to parents about IEPs, 504s, GIEPs, but also right now, families that are expressing interest in the program whose son or daughter may have an IEP, a 504, or a GIEP, we're putting you in contact with district personnel right off the bat so that we can discuss with you, at least preliminarily, what would certain accommodations look like if your son or daughter were fully in the online program.
Thank you. There is a question about, will preschoolers be coming in for that FCS class with the Golden Knights or the preschool club?
Those are wonderful programs that really are a great piece to our high schools. At the moment, that is part of the pending decision that we would have to make as part of our health safety plan. So I'm sorry I don't have an answer on that, but very much so would like to see our high schools operating all of their wonderful programs coming this fall.
Thank you. Let's ask a question about the faculty. We have a few that are on the same mode there. Are there other cyber teachers that are going to become part of the program besides those ones that were shown? And are the cyber teachers just cyber teachers, or will they be teaching some brick and mortar classes also?
Our cyber teachers will be teaching brick and mortar classes, but will have not the same load as they would ordinarily if we were fully in school. And that, so an example may be, typically our teachers carry 5 courses throughout the year that would meet every day of the cycle. Most of our cyber teachers for next year, they would have 4 brick and mortar classes and they would have 1 cyber class. We recognize that if you were to provide, especially in the first year, if you were to provide teachers with a full cyber load of students, that would be about 130 students if I think about the core areas online. And that's also just an expression on our part to the degree that we want to be able to personalize the cyber experience for our high school students.
Thank you. And lastly, Dr. Sokolowski, there are some parents that are still a little confused about honors and AP and how we're going to be able to do that in the cyber environment.
Yes, and I'll have Dr. Barnello also participate in this question, but that is something too that we recognize with cyber learning, that we're able to offer that high degree of personalization for students to be able to meet them, you know, where they are, appropriately challenging them, so that we are able to offer the array of course levels. So ranging from students who would be taking CCP courses to students taking accelerated honors. Our AP courses, though, they would be standalone classes, as that's really a requirement of College Board.
I would also add to that there are some courses in our high school program that, regardless of the level of course, the content is the same. So an example would be in 9th grade social studies, our African Asian cultures, our students are learning all the same content regardless of their level. How we're teaching them and how we're assessing them varies based upon their level. So in a cyber setting, if we had 20 students in a African Asian cultures class, the teacher would be working with those students both in heterogeneous groups when they're providing big picture topics and overviews of content and skills that we're teaching. But then we would have those small breakout sessions in Zoom that would be more homogeneously grouped. So an example would be that in that 9th grade class, we would expect our students to interact with more complex primary source documents, more varied documents, to take those documents and then synthesize them and produce writing at a much higher level than our honors. And then our CCP students would still be engaging in those same activities, but just with more structure, more supports in place to make sure that they're successfully able to engage with that content.
Thank you. There is a question about dual enrollment, and if that's still possible with Westchester while you're doing your cyber.
Yes. So one thing I can tell you is that we have our advanced geoscience courses that we offer at our high schools that are taught by Westchester Area School District teachers in conjunction with faculty at Westchester University. So those courses will still be taking place. We are also working with the university right now, and actually I just heard from one of the deans today about plans for online learning. As I think folks heard probably about a week and a half ago, that Westchester University will be mostly going online in the fall. So we have a few courses that students were registered for that were offered at the Graduate Center. So I just need to work closely with the university on how those courses are going to be offered. This past spring, we did have students that were participating in Japanese 2 and nutrition and culture at the Graduate Center, and they successfully went online when Westchester University, I think they went as early as, I think it was March 9th, that they announced their plans to go online. So we have a great partnership with the university, and we fully intend to offer our dual enrollment courses.
I do just want to interrupt. I did have a student email me privately, which I absolutely love. That's why we put our email address out there so we can answer all your questions about the dual enrollment courses, those advanced science courses that we offer in our buildings. So that would be where, since it's not offered at this time as a cyber option, you would be able to go into your building and take that class in person as well.
Right.
So you would have the availability to do that.
Yeah, I would just emphasize too that those Westchester University geoscience courses that are offered in our building, they are actually set up on a collegiate model schedule. So they're offered really every other day for a double lab period. So it's set up almost like it would be if you were attending at Westchester University. So there's already that kind of flexibility for those courses.
And there are a couple questions about Schoology, so I'd like to bring them up. Will all assignments be visible in Schoology or some other means so that the parents can oversee the students' commitment to learning? Last year, the usage was spotty by some of the teachers.
If I can take that one, Bob. Thank you. So like we said earlier, we understand that there were opportunities for growth for some of our teachers in the spring. While all of our teachers have been trained on Schoology, they were trained on how to use Schoology while integrated in a face-to-face learning environment. Our cyber teachers have been provided completely different training where they have learned all the ins and outs, all the advanced features of Schoology to make it very robust. We also spend a lot of time with our teachers on how to organize their course content so that you as parents are able to support your students, because we understand that especially at the secondary level, your child might have 7 or 8 or sometimes even 9 different teachers, and if everyone's using a different organizational system, as a parent, that's just very frustrating. So all of our cyber teachers have been trained the same way as far as organization, and it will be much easier for you as a parent to navigate. I will say that's also some of the training we're doing for all of our teachers this summer and into the fall, as we do anticipate there to be a likely interruption to our school year.
Okay, I just want to thank everybody for visiting us with us tonight. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Scanlon. But just as I look at the participants list here, there are a number of families that have reached out to me and Dr. Barnello, and you are certainly welcome to continue to ask us questions that may arise as we move closer to the start of the school year and we know more about our health safety plan for the return of school for brick and mortar students. So at this time, I want to bring it back to Dr. Scanlon.
Thanks, Dr. Sokolowski, and thanks to all of our teachers and our administrative team for being out tonight. Thanks so much, parents. Just a couple of things to recap. Bob talked about the enrollment dates and the deadlines for enrollment dates. Those may change a little bit. Again, as we get some new guidance from the State Department of Health, we're supposed to have that later this week. That could change our plans for how we're going to open our schools. and we'll have to adjust accordingly with that. So again, this is a medical problem, and we are relying heavily on our medical experts to help us with some of that guidance. You heard about schedule. Again, I think the schedule gives our students some flexibility. There's some synchronous live sessions in there, but a lot of asynchronous, again, with videos and discussion boards for our teachers to get back and get feedback back to the students. The Schoology platform that was mentioned, all of our teachers are very comfortable with Schoology in grades 3 through 12. So again, that is something that makes it for an easy transition coming back when eventually COVID-19 is over and people want to return back to the brick and mortar schools, or perhaps stay in a couple cyber classes and some of the classes back to brick and mortar. For some people who have asked about gifted services and special education services, we are holding an open house on July 20th at 6 o'clock. And we will cover some of the services that we'll provide virtually and online, more specific to the pupil services department here in the school district. Getting devices out to our students, that's a challenge we're working through, particularly with our 9th grade students. The upperclassmen would have their laptops if you're in our school district. If you're new to the district, we will be scheduling times to get those out to people. We have some experience from commencement, doing the drive-by commencements and scheduling those things too. So we do have some experience with some of that. Again, there are various course offerings in our program we believe will meet the needs of our students. And again, for those who are considering a cyber option, I know as parents, we're all a little bit anxious right now about what schooling is going to look like, and we've got to make some decisions for our children. I too am a parent. I have children in our schools, and I know my wife and I are going through those same discussion points as everybody else is in our community and across this country. But I think being in our cyber program here in Westchester makes for the transition ultimately back. COVID-19 will end. There will be a vaccine, and we will return back to a more normal schedule, whatever that may look like once that happens. But I think the transition will be much easier because it's, again, our teachers, our courses, our program, and our transcripts for our high school students. So with that, I thank you so much for coming out. If you have questions, please contact Dr. Barnello or any of the high school principals, and we will be happy to get back to you as soon as we can to answer any questions that you may have about the Westchester Cyber Program. Have a great night, everybody, and thanks for coming out and asking questions.